Lesson 27, The Dreadful Guest. Once upon a time, the king of Russia decided to hold a grand feast. He invited princes, rich merchants, brave warriors, and all the important people in his kingdom. On the night of the feast, the king and his guests sat together at a long table in the banquet hall. They talked and laughed, and everyone was happy. Now, my dear children, let me explain to you these two small paragraphs. Now, once upon a time, there was a king, and he belonged to the country which was called as Russia. Now, once he decided to have a grand feast. Now, what is a feast? Feast is a party, a celebration. And so he had invited many people. He invited princes, then merchants, then warriors, and all important people in his kingdom. And on the night of the feast, the king and his guests, they sat together at a long table in the banquet hall. Now, what is a banquet hall? A banquet hall is a room where food is served for many people. And then as they were sitting on the banquet hall and they were talking and laughing and everyone was happy. You can understand when there is a party, there is a celebration, everyone is happy. So similarly, here too, everyone was happy. The next paragraph. Suddenly, a huge animal burst into the hall. It was a horrible-looking dragon. It was as tall as a tree, as broad as a house, with teeth like spikes and claws like knives. His skin was hard and scaly, and his eyes red. Red-hot flames shot forth from his mouth, and black smoke from his nostrils. Now, this dragon was also a very mean creature. He loved to be a spoilsport and a killjoy. He walked straight to the head of the table and pushed himself between the king and the queen. Everyone stopped talking. Everyone was scared. Well, not everyone. The brave warrior Ivan was not afraid of dragons. What a rude, impolite creature you are, he said angrily. Now this paragraph tells us that suddenly, as everyone was enjoying in the banquet hall, there was a huge animal. Huge means very big. And this animal burst into the hall. It just came into the hall and it was horrible to look at. What was this animal? It was a dragon. Now you can see on the screen the picture of a dragon. In the next screen, I will be showing it to you. So it is an animal which looks very ugly. Now it is very tall, like a tree. It's broad as a house. And how are the teeth? It's like spikes, and claws of the dragon are like knives. That means it is very sharp. Now this dragon is nothing but a monster. It's like a giant. It's a reptile which looks very ugly, and the spikes, that is the teeth which is like spikes, they are pointed, and therefore it looks horrible. The skin also is too hard and scaly. Scaly means covered with scales. You know what are scales? The fish has its body covered with scales. So even this creature has his body covered with scales. And his eyes were red, and red-hot flames shot forth from his mouth. And what happened? Black smoke from his nostrils would be seen. So you can imagine how dreadful it was, how ugly and dirty it was. Now this dragon was also a very bad creature. Why was he a bad creature? Because he was a spoilsport and a killjoy. What is the meaning of the word spoilsport? Spoilsport means nothing but a person who spoils the joy, the happiness of others. And a killjoy is no one but a person who purposely spoils the joy of another person. So this dirty creature, the dreadful creature, the dragon walked straight and he just took a place in between the king and the queen. And everyone stopped talking because all of them were scared of the dragon. But there was one brave warrior. He was very, very brave. His name was Ivan, and he was not afraid of this dragon. But he said, "What a rude, impolite creature you are." And he was very angry. You know what is the meaning of rude? It means bad-mannered. And he was not polite. Because his behavior was so bad, Ivan the warrior was angry on him. The next paragraph. Just then the servants brought in the food and set the platters on the table. But before they had a chance to serve the food to the king and the queen and the guests, the dragon began to gobble up everything. The king and the queen did not know what to do. Nobody could stop the dragon, but Ivan spoke up again. "Nobody has ever taught you any manners, I can see," he said. "I hope you choke on the food you are gobbling up so greedily." So now here in this paragraph, my dear girls and boys, we have the dragon who was very rude. And here, when everyone was sitting at the long table and the servants brought in food to be served, they bought a platter. Now what is a platter? A platter is a large plate to serve food. And before they could serve the food to the king and the queen and the guest, what did the dragon do? He started gobbling up everything. What is the meaning to gobble? It means to eat in haste and make a noise. So you get annoyed when you see or hear someone eating with a sound, with a noise. Similarly, the dragon did this and everyone was annoyed. Now the king and the queen did not know what to do. They were looking here and there and nobody could stop the dragon because all of them were scared, were afraid. But again, Ivan, the brave warrior, what did he do? He spoke up again and he said, "I think nobody has taught you any manners. I can see that by looking at your behavior." And he also went ahead to say that I hope you choke on your food as you are gobbling up the food so much in greed. So this was what happened, and you can see the brave words of Ivan the warrior. The next paragraph. Now this was more than the dragon could stand. He puffed out fire and sprang to his feet. "I dare you to come out and fight with me, Ivan," he roared. "Are you ready?" "Of course," said Ivan. Now what happened? Now as Ivan was talking to the dragon, he was very, very angry. And the dragon said very angrily, he puffed out fire and sprang to his feet. That means he stood on his feet and he said, "Come and fight with me, Ivan." And he roared because he was lion. He was very angry. And he also asked, "Are you ready to fight with me?" And Ivan said, "Of course, yes." The next paragraph. "What have you done, Ivan?" said the king. "Let's put up with the dragon for some more time." "You cannot fight a dragon. It will burn and kill you in no time." So now the king is very worried. He says, "Ivan, what have you done? You cannot fight the dragon. The dragon is a huge animal. It's a very mean creature, a dreadful creature which just keeps on puffing out fire. And it may kill you. It may burn you in no time." The next paragraph. But Ivan was not afraid. He knew that dragons were dreadful, but not intelligent. He was sure he could find a way of killing the dragon. Now here we see that the brave warrior Ivan was not afraid, and he knew that the dragon, though was dreadful, dirty to look at, but was not at all intelligent. He was not at all clever, so Ivan was sure that he can find a way to kill the dragon. The next paragraph. Everyone walked out to the palace courtyard. The dragon and the brave warrior faced each other. The dragon smiled, a very mean and wicked smile. Now, how shall I kill you, you silly fool? He asked Ivan. Shall I burn you to death? Shall I smother you with fumes? Or better still, shall I tear you up with my knife claws? Or shall I eat you up with my spike teeth? So now in this paragraph, everyone, those who were there in the palace, inside the banquet hall, they all came to the courtyard. Now what is the courtyard? It is a part of the palace, but it is an open space without roof. So they were all assembled, collected in the courtyard, and now the dragon is very much angry, and it is facing Ivan, the warrior, and it is giving a wicked smile, thinking that what is this Ivan going to do to me? I'm going to kill this Ivan. I will burn him. And he goes to ask Ivan, how should I kill you, fool? Should I burn you? Or should I bring fumes and then you will get choked? Or should I tear you apart with my claws, which are like which is like a knife? And should I tear you and eat you with my teeth, which is so sharp like a spike? The next paragraph. In the meanwhile, however, the clever Ivan had thought of a way of tricking the wicked creature. He folded his arms on his chest and said in a clear voice, Now look here, dragon, when you dared me to fight you, I agreed readily. I thought it would be a fight between just the two of us. Then he pointed behind the dragon. Why have you brought a whole army to help you fight? Now here in this paragraph, we see Ivan, who was a clever man. He was a warrior who was very intelligent, and he had already thought of a plan to trick the creature. And so he folded his hands and he said in a clear voice, what did he tell the dragon? He said that you told me that I have to fight with you, and I agreed. But I thought that the fight will be between you and me. That is, I will only fight you. But now you have brought so many of them to fight with me. And he pointed behind the dragon. Now the dragon was surprised. He did not understand who are the people who are there on his side. And so he had to turn to see who was there along with him to fight the warrior Ivan. So what did he do? He had to turn now. So let's see what happens. The next paragraph. The dragon was as stupid as Ivan thought him to be. He turned his head to see what Ivan was pointing at. Quick as a flash of lightning, Ivan drew his sword and cut off the dragon's head. There, he said, we won't have to put up with this dreadful guest ever again. So here, as Ivan had planned, and as he knew this dragon was a very stupid creature, he knew that he was not intelligent, and when he pointed towards the back of the dragon, he turned to see who was there, whom was Ivan pointing to. So quickly as the dragon turned his neck, Ivan took out the sword and cut off the dragon's head. And there the story of the dragon ends. He is dead, and so Ivan, very happily, he says, we don't have to put up with this dreadful guest ever again. That means we will not have this dreadful creature troubling us anymore. Now here there are few meanings given, children. You can go through the meanings, learn them so that you can understand the lesson better and develop your vocabulary. Thank you.